Hello viewers, welcome to another new video. In this video I'm going to talk about MVC pattern. So what is MVC, how it works, and MVC basically stand for model view controller. So here is the detailed diagram. I will explain one by one and then later jump to the project for real world example. So as we can see, this is the middle black screen for a real world complete project MVC, using MVC pattern, and here is the details diagram left side, and right side I explain how MVC pattern are related to each other. So MVC stand for model view controller. So model, you can consider the backend that contain all the data logic, and controller is a middleman. It will communicate with model and view and process the data and finally display to the view. The front end controller is the brain of the application that control how the data is displayed, and view is basically like browser. As a user, what you can see the application output, the front end or graphical user interface GUI. So MVC in the project, we have a controller, model and view. I will explain one controller and with the related model with that controller, and the view in the output browser. So model is processing data and business logic, and UI is displaying data, and controller, here is the gaming controller, input handling, component communication. These are the things this controller is basically doing. So MVC is most popular design pattern for developing ASP.NET web application. So we have developed too many application using ASP.NET MVC pattern. We have like business ERP, asset management system, library management system, school management system, hospital management system. All those things we develop using this MVC architecture. In the backend side, we use MVC, and the database is different database we have used. So our topics is discussing the MVC. So let's jump to the real world code example so that we can easily understand what MVC and how it actually works. So now we can understand what is MVC, what is the meaning of the MVC, model view controller. And if we go to the code, then actually we understand what is MVC actually do. So I'm going to the real world project. Here is asset management system using MVC pattern. So we have controller, we have view, and we have model. So if we run the project, then we can see the output of this project. Initially we will get the login screen, then I will log in into the system, and so here is the login screen. Let me just log in. It will authenticate username and password. We have used ASP.NET Identity for authentication and user management. So system user login into system successfully, and now I will explain one example for model view MVC pattern explanation. Asset. So here is the asset. We have a list of asset in the grid view. So how you are going to get this display data, and how controller works, and how view works, and how model processing data. So I'm going to sign out, and I will going to explain one asset controller. So if we go to the controller, and here is the asset controller, I will explain just one. Here is view, just displaying data index. So let me just enable the debugging here so that we can understand properly. And if we go to the model, we have a asset model. So here is the asset model properties, Also for processing data, we have a view model for asset view model. If we go to the asset view model for asset CRUD operation, for CRUD operation we are using this view model for validation and processing data and adding extra field for view model. So try to understand what is model and what is view model. Model is like you can consider the SQL data table actual fields into the model, but view model is additional field, additional things you can add there for processing data. And one you can process using you process data using this view model from view to controller and finally stored into database. So this is the view model and the controller. So we explain controller, model, and now we have one part remaining, which is view. So if we go to the view and asset view, I will explain just one things like index so that you can understand. Here we'll display the data. So I have write the partial view, so later we can, and in the another video we will explain the partial view. Now if we run the project, first it will come here and get the view with the help of data model view and view. So I'm running the project. Project is loading. So here is our login screen. Using copy button, as it is demo version, we can log in easily. So we just press the login button and it will validate the user credentials. If it is right, then it will redirect to the dashboard. So here is the dashboard. So our today's discussion is MVC. So we picked one controller which is related to asset. If I click the asset menu, then it will display the asset data, but debugging option is not enabled because project I have run using release mode for faster load. Anyways, let me disable, close the project and run again using the debugging mode. It will take time, so try to be patient. So I'm running the project again using debugging mode so that we can properly visualize and understood how MVC each other communicate. So once we click the asset menu, then it will jump to the view controller and index, and it will displaying data accordingly into the view. Already login, that's why it will not go to the login screen. So if we now click the asset menu, then hopefully it will jump to the index. So it come to the index and it will return the view. So view, if we press the F10, so it will return the asset list view. But additional things here we perform, like processing this grid. So this grid data is generating using a jQuery data table. So that is another discussion. So today's discussion was what is MVC and how it works. So based on our project, so first it will we have a controller for C, model for M, and view V for view MVC. So each one related to each it is one communicate to when required data and when required the request. So controller is basically middleman. It will communicate with the view and the model. So let me just summarize the video so that we can wrap up. So here is the details overview of the MVC, and MVC stand for model view controller. A model is the backend that contains the data logic and the database tables, and view is like a front-end GUI, graphical user interface, and controller the middleman, the brain of the application that control how data is displayed. Why you should use the MVC? If you ask me a question, then definitely one of the important things is separation of concern. So it will short term is SOC. It will separate the controller, model, and view. So that's why it's most popular. It's still popular. So using MVC pattern, we have developed many web applications. So if you are interested, then you can enter this application with along with the complete source code, documentation, design diagram, everything from Code Canyon. So thank you for watching this video. If you like and enjoy, please share your feedback, and please do not forget to press the subscribe button. Thank you.